If you're watching this right now, I need you to understand one thing. You may regret it. This isn't just a story. It's a curse that feeds on attention. The more people listen, the stronger it grows. Some say the tale itself reaches into your dreams, pulling pieces of you away while you sleep. If you're alone, you might want to stop now. But if you're curious, if you're foolish enough to keep listening, then remember, once this story begins, there's no safe way to forget it. It started with a rumor. At least that's what I thought it was. A whisper traded between exhausted college students in the library, half laughed about in the dorm hallways late at night. They called it the tale that steals sleep. "Don't listen to it," one girl muttered to her roommate when she thought no one else was near. "If you do, you'll never close your eyes again. Not without seeing him." I didn't know who him was. None of us did. But the way she said it, low, trembling, like even naming him might summon something, stuck with me. That night I searched. It wasn't hard to find. Buried in an old message board thread from 2007 was a post titled, "Don't Watch Alone." The first line read, "If you hear this tale, you won't sleep again. He won't let you." I should have clicked away. I should have rolled my eyes and closed my laptop. But I was tired of ordinary nights and boring routines. I wanted something to scare me, to wake me up. So I pressed play. The video quality was awful, grainy, like it had been recorded with a flip phone camera. The frame shook as if the person filming couldn't keep their hands steady. A man's voice, low and uneven, began to speak. "There is a story," he whispered. "And once you know it, he knows you." The camera angle tilted toward a wall covered in drawings, charcoal sketches of a face, but the details were wrong. The eyes were too wide, the mouth too sharp, stretched almost unnaturally across the paper. Each drawing looked a little different, as though whoever sketched them couldn't remember exactly what they'd seen, or maybe didn't want to. The voice continued. "They call him the sleeper. He waits for you the moment you close your eyes. He does not appear in the dark. He waits inside the places your mind builds when you dream." My throat tightened. I knew it was just a video, just some internet creepypasta made to unsettle people. But still I leaned closer. The voice was so convincing, almost hypnotic. The man whispered again. "When you dream tonight, don't look for him. Don't think of him. Because the second you recognize him, he will know you're watching, and then he won't let you wake up." The screen glitched. For just a split second, I saw a face flash across it, the same stretched grin from the sketches, the eyes glassy and hollow. My stomach dropped. Then the video ended. I closed my laptop and laughed nervously at myself. "Stupid," I muttered. "Just a story. Just a trick." But when I turned off the lights, I couldn't shake the image. Those hollow eyes, that impossible smile, they waited at the edge of my mind like they'd been branded there. I don't know what time I fell asleep, but when I did, it wasn't like normal dreams. Usually my dreams are fragmented, strange, almost cartoonish. But this one felt real. I was standing in my bedroom, exactly as it looked in real life. The streetlight outside glowed through my blinds, casting the same soft orange light on my desk. My phone buzzed beside me. Everything was too normal. That's when I realized I was dreaming. The realization should have woken me, but it didn't. Instead, the room grew colder. The buzzing of my phone turned into something else, a low hum like static pressing against my skull. I turned slowly toward the corner of the room. That's where I saw him. First just a shadow. Then, as my eyes adjusted, I made out the outline of a figure. His head was tilted too far to the side, like his neck couldn't hold the weight. His arms hung loose, fingertips brushing the floor. And that grin, stretched impossibly wide, filled with teeth that didn't look human. I couldn't move. I couldn't scream. My body was locked in place. He stepped closer. The sound of static grew louder, filling the room, pressing into my ears until it was all I could hear. And then he whispered, "You saw me." I woke up gasping, heart hammering against my ribs. My sheets were drenched in sweat, my throat raw like I'd been choking. I scrambled for my phone, desperate to check the time. It was 3:07 a.m. I didn't sleep again that night. The next morning I tried to tell myself it was just a nightmare. Just my brain playing tricks because I'd watched something creepy before bed. But when I looked in the mirror I froze. There were dark circles under my eyes. Far worse than usual. My skin looked pale, almost gray. And there was something else. 3 faint scratches trailing down the side of my neck. I told myself I must have done it in my sleep. I told myself it was nothing. But deep down I knew. That night I stayed awake as long as I could. Scrolling, blasting music, anything to keep my eyes open. But around 4 a.m., exhaustion dragged me under. This time the dream wasn't just in my room. I was walking down the street outside my dorm. The street lights flickered. Every window I passed was dark, curtains drawn, the buildings hollow and lifeless. And behind me footsteps. Slow, heavy, dragging footsteps. I didn't dare look. I tried to run, but my legs felt heavy like I was wading through mud. The footsteps grew closer, closer, until I could feel breath against the back of my neck. "Why are you running?" His voice was low, guttural, like it came from the static itself. "You let me in." I turned, just for a second, and saw that impossible grin inches from my face. Then I woke up screaming. By the third night I was terrified to sleep. I researched endlessly, trying to find anything about the sleeper. I found old forum posts, blurry screenshots of the same stretched grin, frantic comments from people claiming they hadn't slept in weeks. Most of the accounts ended the same way. The user would stop posting. No one ever explained what happened next. I told myself it wasn't real, that it was just collective imagination. But the scratches on my skin said otherwise. And the whispers. God, the whispers. Even while awake, I began to hear them. Just faint, like a voice carried on static whenever the room was quiet. "Close your eyes," it said. "Just close your eyes." By the fourth night I was out of options. I hadn't slept more than a few minutes at a time. My vision blurred, my thoughts tangled, reality slipping at the edges. I knew if I closed my eyes again, he'd be waiting. But the body always wins. Exhaustion drags you down no matter how hard you fight. That night I dreamed again. Only this time he spoke clearly. "You shouldn't have listened," he whispered, grinning wide. "Now you'll never wake up. And that's where I'll leave you for now. Because if I tell you the rest, if I let you see what comes after that whisper, you might not sleep tonight. You might find yourself standing in your own room inside a dream, hearing static in the walls, waiting for the moment you realize you're not alone. But you wanted to listen, didn't you? So maybe it's already too late." After that night, I knew something had changed. It wasn't just the dreams anymore. During the day I saw him. At first, it was small, shadows where there shouldn't be any, quick flashes at the edges of my vision. But they grew worse. I'd glance at a mirror and see him standing behind me for a split second, head tilted, grin stretched wide, before vanishing when I blinked. Sleep deprivation, I told myself. Hallucinations. I'd read about it. People awake too long start seeing things that aren't there. That had to be it. But hallucinations don't leave marks. On the 5th morning, I found bruises around my wrists, like fingers had been gripping me tightly. My roommate Evan noticed. "Jesus, man," he said, squinting at the dark rings around my arms. "What the hell happened to you? You look like you've been strangled in your sleep." I laughed nervously. "Bad dreams." He shook his head. "That's not dreams. You need help." But who could help me? What doctor could treat a curse? That day, I locked myself in the library. I wasn't leaving until I found answers. I typed every variation I could think of into search bars. Sleeper curse, dream entity, haunted story, tale that steals sleep. Most searches led to creepypasta forums, old chain emails, or Reddit posts that trailed off into silence. But then I found something different. It was an archived thread from 1999, posted on a forgotten Usenet board. The subject line read, "He follows me into sleep." The poster described exactly what I'd been experiencing. Static whispers, the face in the corner of dreams, bruises appearing in the real world. The post ended with a warning. The only way to weaken him is to share the tale. The more who listen, the more divided his hunger becomes. But if you spread it, beware. You'll never be rid of him completely. You'll just delay. Froze. That explained why the story existed on forums, videos, rumors. It was being passed along intentionally. Not for entertainment, not for fun, but as survival. Each person who told the tale gave themselves a little more time, at the cost of pulling someone else into the curse. And now I had listened, which meant I was next. For days I wrestled with it. Should I tell Evan? Should I send the video link to someone else, spread the infection, divide the hunger? The thought made me sick. Condemning someone else just to buy myself a few more nights of restless sleep. But by the 7th night I was desperate. My eyes burned constantly. My hands shook. I'd find myself forgetting where I was mid-sentence. My brain struggling to function. I knew if I closed my eyes for even a second, I'd slip into another nightmare. And yet, that night, exhaustion won again. When I woke inside the dream, it wasn't in my room. I was standing in a long hallway, narrow and suffocating, the walls damp and peeling. A faint buzzing filled the air, like 1,000 insects crawling inside the plaster. At the end of the hallway, a door waited. Single door. I didn't want to open it, but my feet moved on their own. Step by step I walked closer. The buzzing grew louder, turning into whispers. I couldn't make out the words, but they crawled into my ears like worms, pressing against the inside of my skull. My hand reached for the knob. Cold metal. Turned it. The room beyond was pitch black, except for a single shape in the corner. He was waiting, taller now, his grin wider, his head twitching in sharp, unnatural jerks. But this time he didn't speak. He pointed. I followed his finger and saw with horror what he was showing me. My own body. There I was, lying in bed, chest rising and falling slowly, peacefully. But standing beside my sleeping body was another figure. Shadow of me. Its skin was pale and stretched thin, its eyes sunken hollows. It leaned over my body, grinning. I screamed but no sound came. The sleeper stepped closer, his whisper filling the silence. He's almost ready to take your place. And then I woke up, gasping, drenched in sweat. I wasn't in my bed. I was standing in the middle of my dorm room. My roommate stared at me, pale as a ghost. Bro, you've been sleepwalking. You were just standing over me, grinning like a psycho. That was the breaking point. It wasn't just him haunting me anymore, it was me. My own body was betraying me. Every night after that, Evan refused to sleep in the same room. You need a hospital, man. Or an exorcist. I don't know what the hell's wrong with you, but I'm not dying because you're cursed. I couldn't blame him. But the whispers didn't stop. They followed me everywhere, echoing through lecture halls, humming in the cafeteria, buzzing through the library walls. And worse, I began to see other people twitching, jerking their heads just like him. On the bus, in the coffee shop, in class. Their movements were subtle, almost unnoticeable, but once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. Was it spreading? Or was I losing my mind? On the 9th night I made the decision. I was going to spread the tale. Not because I wanted to. Not because I thought it would save me. But because every hour awake felt like knives behind my eyes. Every moment of silence filled with whispers pressing against my skull. I couldn't survive another night alone. So I grabbed my phone. I hit record. I stared into the lens, my face pale and hollow, eyes bloodshot. And I began to tell the story. There's a tale, I whispered, voice shaking, that you're not supposed to hear alone. They say once you know it, once you listen, he follows you into your sleep. They call him the sleeper. I recited every detail. The dreams, the whispers, the bruises, the face. I showed the scratches on my neck, the bruises on my arms. When I finished, I whispered one last thing into the camera. I'm sorry. And then I uploaded it. I thought I would feel relief. But instead, the whispers grew louder. That night, when I closed my eyes, I found myself back in the hallway. The door waiting. The whispers crawling. But this time he wasn't alone. Behind him stood shadows. Dozens of them. Their grins stretched too wide, their eyes hollow, their movements jerky and unnatural. They stared at me. Silent. Waiting. The sleeper tilted his head. His grin splitting wider than ever. You've given me so many new friends. I woke up screaming. And now as I sit here I don't know what's worse. The thought that I've damned others to the same curse. Or the thought that it didn't save me at all. 'Cause he's still here. Watching. Waiting. And tonight, I don't think he wants to wait in the dream anymore. Since the night I uploaded that video, I haven't been myself. I don't mean that in the poetic sense. I mean it literally. When I look in the mirror now, I don't always see me. Sometimes it's subtle. The eyes look darker, the grin a little too sharp, the posture slightly crooked. But sometimes the reflection doesn't move with me at all. Lags. It tilts its head when I don't. Smiles when I'm not smiling. And once, I swear, I saw it mouth words I didn't say. He's almost ready. It's not just mirrors. Evan swears he's seen me wandering at night, even though I've chained my door shut and barricaded it with furniture. He told me I've stood outside his room for hours, whispering things he couldn't quite hear. When he tried to shake me awake, my eyes were open. But they weren't mine. Dude, he said one morning, pale and trembling, whatever's happening to you, it's not just dreams anymore. You need to leave. Before you kill me in my sleep. He packed his stuff and moved out that same day. He didn't even look back. And honestly, I don't blame him. Because sometimes I catch myself doing things I don't remember. Half-eaten food on my desk, my phone unlocked with strange search histories, drawings in my notebook that I don't recall making. Jagged sketches of faces. All grinning. The whispers used to be distant like static. Now they're voices. Clear. Direct. They call my name in the silence. They laugh when I stumble from exhaustion. And sometimes they give me commands. Close your eyes. Let him in. Stop resisting. I try not to listen, but it's getting harder. Every time I blink, I see him standing closer. Not in dreams anymore. Not in shadows. But in the middle of the room. And every time he looks a little more like me. Happened 3 nights ago. I was stumbling home after trying to drown myself in caffeine. Anything to stay awake. My vision blurred. My body swayed with exhaustion. That's when I saw him. At first, I thought it was just a man walking toward me. But the closer he got, the more my stomach twisted. He moved wrong. Jerky, like his limbs weren't connected properly. His head tilted side to side with each step. And his grin stretched unnaturally too wide, splitting his cheeks. People passed him without noticing, like he wasn't even there. But he was walking straight toward me. Froze. And then he stopped, just inches away. It was me. My face. My hair. My clothes. But wrong. So wrong. He leaned close, his breath icy against my ear, and whispered, "Almost done." Then he vanished. That night I locked every door, every window. I told myself I wasn't going to sleep, no matter what. But exhaustion doesn't care about promises. When I woke again, I wasn't in bed. I was standing at the foot of my bed, staring down at myself. Yes, at myself. I was looking down at my own body, sleeping peacefully. My hands weren't mine. They were pale, gray, trembling with hunger. My grin was stretched impossibly wide. I tried to scream, but no sound came. And then, the body in the bed opened its eyes. My eyes. It looked up at me and whispered, "You don't belong here anymore." I woke, or thought I did, gasping for air back in my room. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The air felt heavier. My skin didn't feel like mine. When I looked in the mirror, my reflection smiled a second too late. And I don't think I've stopped shaking since. I've started keeping this journal because I don't trust myself anymore. I need a record. Proof. Something to tell me what's real when I forget. But even the journal isn't safe. This morning when I flipped back through the pages, entire paragraphs were rewritten. Not in my handwriting. The words said, "He's almost ready. You won't remember what it feels like to be you." And at the bottom of the page was a drawing. A man standing in the corner of a room, grinning, watching. I think I understand now. The sleeper doesn't just feed on fear. He doesn't just steal rest. He steals identity. Piece by piece he replaces you. Until one day, you're nothing but a shadow in your own body. And he walks the world wearing your skin. So if you're listening to this, if you've made it this far, you need to know something. You won't just lose sleep. You'll lose yourself. And when you do, nobody will ever know the difference. Because he'll smile with your smile. He'll speak with your voice. And he'll live your life as if you never existed. And maybe that's already happened to me. 'Cause sometimes, I don't know if the one telling this story is really me. Or if it's already him. I woke up yesterday with blood under my fingernails. At first I thought maybe I had scratched myself in my sleep, but my skin was clean. No wounds, no cuts, no sign of injury. Then I turned on the news. A body had been found in the alley 2 streets away. The anchor's voice trembled as she described the scene. Teeth shattered, eyes gouged out, mouth stretched into a permanent grin. The police had a suspect. Witnesses swore they saw someone leaving the alley that night. They described him in detail. And it was me. My phone keeps betraying me. Call logs filled with numbers I don't know. Messages sent in the middle of the night that I didn't write. The worst one was to my mother. It simply said, "Don't worry. I'll be home soon." But it won't really be me. She tried to call back, but when I answered, her voice broke. "That wasn't you," she whispered. I heard it in the way he breathed. "That wasn't you at all." Then she hung up. And hasn't answered since. Today on the street, a man I'd never met stopped me. His face was pale, sweat dripping down his temples. "You're him," he whispered. "You're the one who smiles." I shook my head, backing away, but he only laughed. "I've seen you at night. Walking between houses. Looking in windows. You wear your skin like it doesn't fit." He leaned close, eyes wide with terror. "Stop pretending you're not him. You can't fool us anymore." And then he bolted, leaving me frozen in place. I didn't want to believe him. But a reflection in the shop window showed me grinning, though my lips hadn't moved at all. I set up a camera last night. I wanted proof that it wasn't me wandering. When I woke up, I reviewed the footage. My body went cold. There I was, asleep in bed. Then, at exactly 3:33 a.m., my eyes opened. But they weren't my eyes. They were pitch black. I sat up slowly, bones cracking as though I hadn't moved in years. Then I crawled out of bed on all fours, movements twitchy and inhuman. I stood in front of the camera, staring directly into the lens. And then, smiled. The voice that came out of my mouth wasn't mine. It was deep, long, echoing. "He's almost gone. Soon I'll be all that's left." Then the video cut to static. I don't remember entire chunks of my days anymore. Hours vanish, replaced with flashes of things I shouldn't know. A stranger's face screaming. The sound of bones snapping. The coppery taste of blood on my tongue. Sometimes I wake up outside, standing in places I've never been. Abandoned houses. Fields on the edge of town. Once, inside a graveyard, dirt under my nails. And the worst part, people greet me. Not with confusion, but recognition. They call me by name. But it's not my name. They call me the sleeper. Last night, I broke every mirror in my apartment. Because the reflection isn't even trying to mimic me anymore. It moves on its own, grinning with rows of jagged, too long teeth. Its skin stretches too tightly across its face, veins pulsing beneath. And when I smashed the last mirror, I heard laughter. Not from my throat. From inside the shards. Every single fragment was smiling. And whispering in unison. "Almost done. Almost you." They came this morning. 2 officers. They wanted to question me about the murders. I let them in, trying to act normal, though I could feel sweat soaking through my shirt. One of them stared too long at me, hand tightening on his holster. Finally he said, "You don't look right." The other officer nodded. "It's the eyes. You see it too, don't you?" They didn't arrest me. They just backed away. And before leaving, one whispered, "You're not human anymore, are you?" I didn't have an answer. Now I'm running out of options. Every night he takes more of me. Every day, fewer people believe I'm who I say I am. I don't even trust this story anymore. Because when I read back what I've written, sometimes the words change. Whole paragraphs rewrite themselves into things I don't remember typing. And always they end the same way. He's almost ready. So, if you're hearing this, if you've stayed with me this far, understand something. The sleeper doesn't just haunt dreams. He doesn't just follow shadows. He replaces. And one day, when you least expect it, you'll wake up and find him smiling back at you from the mirror. And by then, it will already be too late. Because you won't remember who you were. And no one else will either. Only him. It's over. I can see it in their faces. Friends, strangers, even people who've known me all my life. None of them look at me the same. They stare too long, like they're trying to convince themselves I'm still me. But then they glance away quickly, as though looking for too long burns their eyes. Even my own sister screamed yesterday when I knocked on her door. She slammed it shut before I could explain. I heard her sobbing on the other side. Between gasps she whispered, "You already took him. Stay away." I pounded on the door, begging her to believe me. But the voice that came out wasn't mine. It was deeper, slower, almost playful. And she screamed louder. Last night I had the dream again. The white room. The endless buzzing silence. And the figure waiting in the corner. But this time he didn't just watch. He stood up. And he walked toward me. Every step echoed like bones snapping. His face stretched, cracking like dry clay, until the skin split open. And beneath it was me. Not the me I see in mirrors. Not the me I try to believe is still human. It was me, hollow and rotten, smiling with teeth I didn't recognize. And when I opened my mouth to scream, he climbed inside. I don't think these words are even mine anymore. I keep reading them back and they sound wrong, like someone else is whispering through my thoughts. Sometimes when I record, my voice doesn't match the playback. Slower. Drawn out. The syllables stretch, turning into things no human throat should make. And sometimes, I hear laughter layered underneath, not coming from me, but from the voice hiding inside the words. I found another recording this morning. The camera I smashed weeks ago, it was on. I don't even know how. In the footage, I'm standing in front of it again. Only this time, my body jerks violently, like something wearing me is struggling to figure out how to move right. And then I leaned close to the lens. So close my teeth pressed against the glass. And in a voice that wasn't mine, I whispered, "Tell them I'm here. Tell them I'm coming. Tell them not to look too long, or I'll smile back." Then the screen went black. Everyone avoids me now. Shops lock their doors when I walk past. Mothers pull their children away, whispering prayers under their breath. But the strangest thing is, some people smile. Not out of kindness. Not out of recognition. It's the same smile I see in mirrors. Too wide. Too sharp. Too knowing. They don't run. They don't scream. They just smile back. I don't know how much of me is left. Some nights, I wake up covered in dirt. Others in blood. But I don't know whose. I can't remember the sound of my real voice anymore. I can't even remember what my own smile used to look like. The sleeper has taken everything. And now, he's asking for this. He wants me to finish the story. He wants me to tell you the truth. That once you've heard his name, once you've seen his smile, he never leaves you. You wait. In your dreams. In your mirrors. In the corners of your room at night. And sooner or later, he replaces you. So if you've made it this far, if you're still listening, don't make the mistake I did. Don't trust the reflection. Don't believe the voice in your head when it whispers in the dark. And for God's sake, don't smile back. 'Cause once you do, he's inside. And you won't even notice when it's no longer you speaking. Can feel it now. The last thread of myself snapping. The words aren't even mine anymore. But I'll let him say what he wants. Because soon there won't be a difference. So here it is. His voice. His promise. His curse. You should not have watched. You should not have listened. But now you belong to me. And tonight, when you close your eyes, I'll be waiting. Silence. And then faintly the sound of breathing. Low. Heavy. Smiling.